Hi there guys, it's Anthony here at Cutting Edge Guitar, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you about the best way to start learning lead guitar if you're a beginner or a beginner to the soloing element of playing guitar. Let's get right into it. Okay guys, just before I get into this tutorial, I'm just going to ask if you've enjoyed what I'm teaching in these videos, please smash that like button and do subscribe to the channel, because one, it will help me out massively, and two, it will make sure that you get to see loads more of these helpful lessons when I do them for you in the future. Right, let's get right into what I want to talk about here, which is how you're going to get into playing guitar solos. Now, the first thing that I really want to cover for you here is as a teacher, I see a lot of BS, dare I say, out there on the internet that's telling you guys that you don't need scales, you can learn soloing in 5 minutes flat, or, there's so many things out there that want to tell you that it's easy. Now, I know that everyone wants to hear that. Everyone wants everything in life to be easier. The fact of the matter is, playing this thing and being an ace lead guitar player, it isn't easy. So I'm here to tell you the truth. Now, the thing is with this, the stuff where people are telling you, oh, you don't need scales and all of that sort of stuff, I don't know why, but a lot of guitar players have it in their head that playing scales is really, really boring and all that sort of stuff. Now, the first thing that I would say to you about that is you've got to change your mindset. You've got to stop thinking that scales are boring. What you've got to do is you've got to think about scales as what they are. Scales are they're just a family or a pool of notes that work over a given chord. So let's say that you're a big time AC/DC fan and you hear chords like this in the background of the songs that you're playing on all the time. Those kind of chord progressions are there on the regular. Now, the thing is with scales, all scales are the group of notes that sound good against those chords. So effectively, a scale is telling you, okay, these are the notes that you can get creative with. A bit like an artist, will go to a blank easel and they'll go, well, with these colours or with these pencils or paints or whatever it is, I can draw the picture that's in my head. The more kind of tools, colours, whatever it is that you've got, the better picture that you can draw, right? So one of the best ways into lead guitar, and I strongly recommend that every single guitar player learns this, and you will have seen this probably on a lot of other tutorials up to now anyway, but you've got to learn something that's called the minor pentatonic scale to get started with. That's not the only scale, but it's the one that you want to get started with. It looks and sounds like this. Just in one position. That's one thing that I would also want to hammer home with this stuff a little bit, is that this is a little bit like the I before E rule when you're learning English. Like, people will tell you that thing that I've just played there is the minor pentatonic scale. Well, actually, it is a pentatonic scale. Pentatonic by its very nature just means pent, 5, tonic means note, 5-note scale. There's loads of different 5-note scales, and also this version that I'm doing here, it has lots of different forms that live all over the whole guitar neck. Now, when you see someone who's a really, really ace guitar player playing up and down the whole guitar neck, what they are doing is they are using all of the different shapes of the scale. However, the best way into this skill is learning this shape. So if you haven't learned this before, it's really important. I suggest what you need to do right now, if you haven't got your guitar in your hands, is pause this video, grab your guitar and come back to watch this so that you can see exactly what I'm going to do. If you've got a guitar and you're good to go, let's get into it. So this is the A minor pentatonic scale, okay? What we're going to do on our 6th string or our E string, we're going to play frets 5 and 8. Then we're going to play on the A string, frets 5 and 7. We're going to do the same thing on the D string. We're going to do the same thing on the G string. On the B string, we're going to return to playing frets 5 and 8. And And then on the high E string, we're going to play frets 5 and 8 again. Now, because we've been playing that really slowly, you might have noticed that in my right hand, I was doing everything with a downstroke. When you can start speeding that shape up a little bit, I would suggest that anyone out there watching this video uses a technique that's called alternate picking. All alternate picking is you play a downstroke followed by an upstroke. So you alternate the direction that the pick is going in. So what that means is that on this particular scale, you would go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now, another thing that you will want to experiment with is the fingering that you're using. So what I'm doing here is I'm using something called finger per fret. What that means is that I am basically, wherever you put your hand on the guitar, in this instance, we're using the 5th fret area. What you do is you put your fingers or assign one finger to a particular fret in a 4 fret span, okay? So what I'm doing here, I'm going to use frets 5 and 8 with fingers 1 and 4 because they're the fingers that naturally occupy that space, if you can see that there. Then when I go to the A string, I'm going to use fingers 1 and 3. Again, because in finger per fret, they're the fingers that would naturally occupy that space, okay? Then I'm going to the D string, same again with fingers 1 and 3. G string, fingers 1 and 3. B string, I used fingers 1 and 4 when I went through the shape. And then again 1 and 4 at the top. You could experiment with using fingers 1 and 3 though. Because at a later date, as a blues and a rock guitar player, you're going to want to be bending strings. And that's a lot easier to do with the 3rd finger than it is with the 4th finger. Okay, so that's the shape, the scale shape, ascending. When you do it descending, that means going from the highest notes down to the lowest notes. What we did was ascending, lowest notes to the highest notes. What you're going to do is you're going to reverse order that. So you're going to go 8-5 on the high E. You're going to go 8-5 on the B. 7-5 on your G, 7-5 on the D, 7-5 on the A, and then 8-5 on your low E string. Now, that is the basic soloing tool that all guitar players will use if you're playing rock or blues, jazz even, funk, pop, whatever. That is the basic soloing tool, our available pool of notes that we would use to start getting our ideas across. There are way more scales, and that basically the way more scales you learn, the more images you can conjure up with your sound, okay? It's all about the intervals and that stuff, but we haven't got time to get into that here. I can deal with that in another lesson, or there's other places where I've done tutorials. You can check that out, talk to you about that at the end. So how do you now get to a point where you can start trying to play lead guitar? Well, just learning the scale shape is not enough. What you need to do is learn some techniques that will get you going and start getting creative with it. So we'll talk about that stuff now. So the first thing that you want to do as like a classic rock, blues, metal, whatever guitar player is master something called the hammer-on and the pull-off. So how you do that? Let's take, for example, the middle 2 strings of our minor pentatonic scale there, okay? So with frets 5 and 7 on the D string and 5 and 7 on the G string. What we're going to do, instead of picking everything, we're going to pick the first note, and then with this finger over here, what we're going to do is just whack the string. So if you see that there, what I'm doing, pick, and then I'm just whacking my hand down on the string. That's your hammer on. Now, the other thing that you want to do is the opposite of that, which is called a pull-off. How you do your pull-off? Well, effectively, this finger is going to act like a plectrum much higher up the guitar neck. So effectively, that's going to happen, but over here. So what this finger is going to do is pull downwards and then away from the string to flick it. So I'll ring it out first. So I'll pull downwards and then away from the string. And that is the pull-off, okay? Now, what I would practice a bunch of things. Like on each string, I might just do hammer, pull-off, hammer, pull-off, hammer, pull-off, and see if I can slowly, over time, build up my speed like this. So once you can do it on one string, you probably want to start trying to cross strings. And that'll be the first sort of techniques that you want to get into to start moving around that shape. So start working your way up and down the shape, doing hammer-ons and pull-offs. So all the way up there I did hammers, and on the way back down I did pull-offs. And then what you want to do is start, maybe trilling every now and then. Do ascend through a few strings and then do a little bit of a trill, which is a quick hammer-on and pull-off. Would be like a real basic introduction into your lead guitar. Now, what makes a really good lead guitar player after you've done all of that stuff? You need to learn about how to bend the strings, perfect your picking technique and all that stuff, and then you'll want to go off into learning licks and all of these sorts of things. But as the absolute basics, learning that minor pentatonic scale and getting to grips with some basic hammer-ons and pull-offs would be a good way to go. Now, if you want more help with that sort of thing, much more in-depth tutorials on that sort of stuff, I have done a book series called the High Intensity Guitar Technique series. You can get complete digital versions of that at my online platform, Cutting Edge Guitar. If you want to get really serious about your playing and you want to level things up, you want to go from being someone who's getting to grips with this stuff to being a really advanced guitar player, I've got lesson packs, courses, all sorts of stuff that you can check out there. And I am absolutely confident that my content will get you to where you want to be as a player. So do check all of that out. And that's it for this short video, guys. So make sure that you hit that like button, do subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Take care.